Fadir allas blavakatum gragial. Mohon is mohon no. Chonig meel balé lahir noad. Mohon is mohon no.
Cé an fearbra sin crown a poise. Mahon is mahon An éisian má bhacín dúmpar métrí roithe. Mahon is mahon
No nation havakin na doim per me tri roihe. Mohon is mohon no. No nehen carol spuantje kwe ger de volle calling. Mohon is mohon no.
Muise ist le Mahoney is ná bí croite. Mahon is mahon no. An éisian má bhacín dúmpar métrí roithe. Mahon is mahon no. Mahon is mahon no.
The darkest midnight in December. No snow nor hail nor winter storm shall hinder us for to remember the night that on this child was born. With shepherds we are come to see this wondrous infant's glorious charms. Born of a maid, as the prophet said, the love of God in Mary's arms.
Ye blessed angels, join our voices. Let your gilded wings beat fluttering o'er, whilst every soul set free rejoices, and every devil must adore. We'll sing and pray that you always may our church and our faith always defend. God grant us grace in all our days. The God of love, the God of love, in Mary's arms.
Thank you so much, Owen and Moley. Anyway, thank you both so much. That was beautiful. I'm only sorry that technical things on Zoom don't allow us to hear you harmonize because your voices are so beautiful together. But another time for that. We'll figure that out next
We'll
time.
figure it out. We got to get faster than the speed of light, Eileen, but once we work that out.
We'll try. Well, anyway, welcome everyone. I'm really especially thrilled to be here this evening, and it's so fun to see some friends' faces and some One Spirit friends' faces and faces of friends I haven't met yet. So, welcome everybody. And it's Owen and Moley's first time at One Spirit, so they're new to everybody. So, say hi to them. And so, thank you all for joining us. We have another special guest who is Riain, Owen and Moley's mother, who actually will do sort of the official welcoming in a moment. But I just wanted to introduce her. She's um, really a woman that's very hard to describe because she's so fabulous. But she is also a graduate of One Spirit, but One Spirit in England, and she's very enthused about this meeting of the spirits. So without further ado, why don't we hear from Nóirín?
Gomenidi híomh a bhistéirí bhistecúla, agus táim Harbheith sásta bheith live bheith Eileen Machara agus Owen agus Mícheál, chun an céalúra seo a dhéanamh le chéile. And it is so wonderful to talk to my fellow One Spirit mystics over there in the States, because I don't know, but like yourselves, wasn't the best thing we ever did. And for me, it certainly has been a lifelong yearning and longing to minister to people. But what I want to do here now in Ireland is I want to light a candle in celebration of One Spirit. I want to send that flame as a rainbow into each one of your homes. Because in Ireland, we know that when we're born, dear One Spirits, that a candle is ignited in heaven that stays burning brightly there while we are alive. And certainly was burning very strongly the days we were ordained, all different ones of us, into the ministry of being of service, being rejoicing indeed in not just our divine child, which we're doing this time, but also that divinity in everybody else, seeing it, bringing it out, enhancing it through our ceremonies, through our rituals, through our counselling too. And what a privilege it is to have that, to be able to stand beside people at the important points in their lives. And so it's lovely to be coming to you on the 23rd of December. And of course, in the Christian tradition, this is the last day of the O antiphons, these very special songs. Oh, Emmanuel. And this is, we're celebrating that child, oh, Emmanuel, the Christ within us all. So it is such a wonderful time to be together, and I hope it might be the start of many more connections with my One Spirit interfaith family, brothers and sisters. And of course, a great person for rejoicing in the divine child within us was the Spanish mystic John of the Cross. And he once said that if you could convert your heart into a cow stall, the birth would be in you. That divine child would be birthed in you. Also, it's a great time of the divine feminine within us all, because this is a time celebrating Mary in the Christian tradition, of course, Mary and Elizabeth, a time of pregnancy, a time of visiting homes. And so my little flame is going right into your home here, carrying my love and my admiration and my connection with you. I suppose during COVID too, ministers, haven't we had a great sense of how important that connection is, that one Spirit, that Holy Spirit connection too. And I mentioned John of the Cross, and here's his lovely prayer for Advent. If you want, the Virgin will come walking down the road pregnant with the Holy and say, I need shelter for the night. Please take me inside your heart. My time is so close. Then, under the roof of your soul, you will witness the sublime intimacy of the divine, the Christ taking birth forever, as she grasps your hand for help. For each of us is the midwife of God. Each of us is the midwife of God. Each of us. Yes, there under the dome of your being does creation come into existence eternally. Through your womb, dear pilgrim, through your womb, dear minister, the sacred womb in your soul, as God grasps our arms for help. For each of us is his beloved servant, never far. If you want, the Virgin will come walking down the road pregnant with light and sing. Magnificat anima mea Dominum, Alleluia, Alleluia, et exultavit Spiritus meus, in Deo salutari meo, Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. My soul praises the Lord, but my soul also praises the connection to one Spirit. And I offer my prayer for you this beautiful time of Advent and new beginnings, a great prayer of gratitude for the One Spirit Interfaith Foundation, for friendship, for connection, and for allowing us, certainly for me, One Spirit Interfaith connection allowed me to live out my lifelong longing to be of service, to minister to people, to be there with people, to share the light of this time, the light of birthing the divine child within each of us. Agus davri sin Cuirim ma bhenacht, agus ma father díobse an adas a hamid ag taistil le chéile in san dawnsa, go dtí an dawn eile. Agus hamid á olafú or gríthe agus or nonamnacha chun é sin a dhéanamh. And so, dear ministers, I hope to see you again down the line. Let's keep in contact because, as Emily Dickinson said, your lovely, most important religious poet, the soul selects her own society and shuts the door. And really that's what One Spirit gave us, that contact, that relationship with our own spirits, our own soul-like beings. So, God be with you. Namaste. Agus go dté sibh slán.
Thank you so much, Nóirín. It was wonderful to hear from you. It was so rich and just wonderful to see you, wonderful to hear from you. And I was so touched by your enthusiasm for One Spirit as an organization. And as often happens, at least when I work on things like this, I think I'm headed in one direction and something else appears. A friend of mine wrote a book, and the title of the book is That Which Transpires Behind That Which Appears, which I loved. And I find it happens often. So in thinking about this evening, I was thinking about Celtic Christmas, and then Nóirín offered her piece on one spirit, and it opened up this whole other dimension of the evening for me that I hadn't anticipated. And it opened up a different dimension of one spirit to me too, because for some reason I just had never thought about it being across. I mean, of course, interfaith is everywhere, so I assumed it was everywhere, but I hadn't really thought about it. So anyway, it just was like a whole deepening and an opening of just that one little concept, and that one little concept is not so little, as we know. So it was wonderful to hear that. So now I'd like to share a couple of reflections before we go into a guided meditation. And but even before that, I found a wonderful poem written by a poet who is new to me, Rosemary Watola Tromer, and she actually will be doing a workshop for One Spirit in January, I believe. But she's a wonderful, wonderful poet. And she wrote a very short poem called Before Sunrise, the Day After the Winter Solstice. I don't know how it is that before I even open my eyes, I feel it in my blood, the small measure of light that will arrive today. I marvel how trust in the light is as powerful as the light itself. By the time dawn comes, already I am glowing. I don't know how it is that before I even open my eyes, I feel it in my blood, that small measure of light that will arrive today. I marvel how trust in the light is as powerful as the light itself. By the time dawn comes, already I am glowing. I just thought that was stunning, so I wanted to share it. Because, of course, this is the time of year when we celebrate the return of the light, and that's really what Christmas is related to, of course. So I thought that was a beautiful poem. And in the Christian tradition, of course, that light is the baby Jesus. And I was contemplating and thinking about Christmas, and I realized that Christmas wasn't just for Christians. At least in my book, it's not just for Christians. I think it has a much bigger meaning that somehow got lost in translation, as many things do, of course. But to me, and possibly it comes from my experience of Christmas as a child, because I experienced such incredible wonder and a sense of mystery around this much greater mystery. And sort of the focal point of that was the birth of this baby. But there was so much implicit in the birth of that baby and so much mystery around it that was way beyond my comprehension and still is today. And of course, the mystery of the birth of a child is reflective of the greater mystery that we all live in and are a part of. And so that got me really thinking about birth and rebirth, and just how important it is to realize that we have that opportunity to be reborn every moment, really. And Christmas is a wonderful time to remind us of that. I think we tend to, it's very easy to forget in the cultures we live in. But to be part of that mystery and to participate in that mystery and realize that I'm just like a small part of it. And on the one hand, I find tremendous comfort in it because it's a place of refuge. It's a place of protection and safety because it's so much bigger than I am and so incomprehensible. And yet also because I'm a small part, I'm not responsible for holding the whole thing up either. I'm just responsible for my part. So that kind of relieves me a little bit, if you will. And also as I thought about this mystery of birth and wonder, and I was also thinking about hope, and I was talking to a friend about hope the other day, and so many of us are despairing and hopeless and really very skeptical, and if depending on, well, I was going to say depending on what channels you watch, but any channel you watch, it's all bad. So It doesn't matter. Um, but it can look pretty dark. But I started thinking about hope, and I I realized that I wasn't talking about the hope that I'm not talking about wishful thinking or hoping I get a job or hoping I get a gift or whatever. Um, Not that sort of superficial wish, but a much deeper hope, a deeper sense of hope that's born out of being part of that mystery. Because somehow knowing that I'm part of that mystery, I feel like there's some. I hesitate to use words here because it gets gnarly, but I don't want to say cohesion, um, but there's something. I don't have the word. I don't think anybody has the words to describe it, frankly. But I'm a part of that mystery, and in that, for me, there is tremendous hope. And it's not the hope that everything's going to look pretty with a beautiful green and red ribbon, or that kind of hope. It's a much deeper hope, kind of a knowing in my being that all is well, even though all looks horrible. So, um, so anyway, I just wanted to offer that for your contemplation and thought. That's kind of where I've been. My mind's been meandering a little bit these days with wonder and mystery and hope, and also with the divine child. For me, the divine child is, I think we all, is such an important metaphor for me, because there's that part of us that is so alive, that it has that wonder and that mystery and that hope. And so I'd like to glide us in a brief meditation now, just to sort of touch into that place, into that divine child who we may have neglected or not paid attention to or ignored, or it's very, very easy to get busy and to not stop and honor those parts of ourselves that are sacred, and connect to the sacred. So I just invite you to sit up and be comfortable, but maybe with your back straight so your energy will flow. And I thought it would be kind of fun to use some Celtic plants for this meditation. So while I invite you to close your eyes, you may want to look. And one of the things that was wonderful about the Celts, among many things, is that their connection to the earth and to nature was so deep. And they use the plants around them, and really indigenous plants. So, so just again, sit up straight but in a relaxed position. And this is a meditation that is really about effortless effort. It's not about trying. I would just invite you to notice your breath. No need to change it or do anything, just notice. And just notice how it feels to stop for a moment and just breathe. Do nothing but breathe. Breathing in, I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm breathing out. So as you breathe, maybe connect to that part of yourself that you consider your divine child, or that sacred part of you that you'd like to connect with. Your soul. And the first herb I'm going to hold up is one you all know, and it's mistletoe. Mistletoe was beloved by the Celts because it bloomed during the frozen winter, which I thought was a really powerful metaphor. So it's a small plant and doesn't look very perky on its best day, but it does bloom through the winter. So I thought that was really interesting. So I invite you to just maybe imagine mistletoe and breathe that quality of blooming through the frozen winter into your heart, into your divine child. And just notice how it lands, if it lands. And then we move on to our next herb, which is holly. Well, actually, it's not herb, it's a plant. But we're all very familiar with this. And holly is a symbol of goodwill and peace in the family. And what I loved about it was when it's outside the home for the Celts, it was placed outside the home to protect the home from lightning. And when it's placed inside the home, it's to protect the elves and the fairies who have come inside because it's too cold outside. So it suggests to me that the elves and the fairies needed protection while they were inside more than they needed it when they were outside. I don't know, but it's just kind of a sweet thing to kind of play with. But it also is a plant of protection and also a plant of abundance. And of course, that's signified by the red berries. So again, I'd invite you to just pause and breathe holly into your heart. And just notice that sense of peace and goodwill and protection. Notice if even maybe there are a few fairies hiding in your heart that need a little protection. And then breathing, we shift to probably the most obvious plant right behind me, the Christmas tree, or the evergreen, which of course is evergreen. And the Celts, the evergreen really was incredibly useful to the Celts, the pine tree. But it symbolized immortality and eternal life because of course the leaves never dropped. And that's why we have Christmas trees, to celebrate that everlasting life in the face of death. So I'd invite you to breathe that sense of Christmas tree into your heart, into your divine child. And notice that sense of no birth, no death, that sense of eternal life that is available to all of us in any moment. So taking a moment, going back to the mistletoe, remembering the holly, thinking about the evergreen, noticing how they land in your soul. Notice if any of those qualities you might have been longing for, the protection, the goodwill, the peace. Notice if there's a way that you might bring those qualities forward into the next year, or one of them even. And I'd invite you as you go through the rest of the season, when you're walking around your town or in an office or wherever you may be, keep your eye open for some mistletoe and some holly and Christmas trees. And just when you see them, pause and remember that there's a little piece of each of those in your heart. And see if that lightens your day a bit. So I'd like to just close the meditation really with a blessing. So May you awaken to the immensity of the great mystery, and may you awaken to the mystery of being here. May curiosity, creativity, and aliveness light your way. May you awaken to the possibility of the miracles in each day, born of wonder and love. And may you deeply know the tenderness and love of the divine great mystery, so immense and yet so intimate. So, taking your time, wiggle your toes, open your eyes if they're not open, come on back into the collective. And I believe Owen is going to be telling us some stories next.
Thank you, Eileen, for that beautiful reminder that we have the natural world is here for us, always at our side, despite how isolated or alienated we can feel, often trapped to these shiny screens in front of us, you know. And this time, yeah, I love what you said there too, that which transpires behind that which appears. And I was thinking transpiration, spirit, to breathe. And we're breathing through something here behind that which appears, of course, which is this shiny screen that we have in front of us here. And there is something transpiring. We are breathing together as this occurs. And Eileen, I love your reflection on despair and hopelessness. The very child that's born in the darkest midnight here is the same child that gasps, "Why have I been forsaken? Why has God forsaken me? Why has my own father, why has the world forsaken me?" You know? And I was thinking that perhaps even if God, as David White would say, in that fierce embrace, even the gods speak of God. I have heard that even in that fierce embrace, even the gods speak of God. So if even the gods are expressing their despair and their total annihilation, then surely it's appropriate for us to do the same. And this expression of despair, I think, is often something that is a great taboo in our society. We're supposed to be all happy, all on, all the time, you know? And this showing of despair and of anger and of frustration is told from a very early age. The inner child within us is told to be a good boy or a good girl and not to express these difficult emotions. And yet we have this wonderful example in the Christian story and in every great mystery tradition of the annihilation of the self and of the spirit as the only way through, to the next level, to the next state.
Right.
And the next state too, the great Václav Havel, the poet and statesperson, the poet and prime minister of the communist bloc, of one of the communist, he lived through communism and was a great resistor and underground illegal voice that today we put on a pedestal. But at the time he was certainly persona non grata. No matter what channel you turned on in his country, they would have thought him to be a very disingenuous person. And Václav Havel then eventually became prime minister of Czechoslovakia. But he has a wonderful quote about hope, and he says, "Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well. Hope is not the conviction that something's going to turn out well, but it's the certainty.
Oh.
It's the certainty that something makes sense, regardless of how it turns out. It's something makes sense regardless of how it turns out." And for me, that means that our minds cannot perceive of the unfolding of the universe, believe it or not. No matter, our little pea brains are not able to predict the future, really, despite our constant attempts to do so. And today we even have all sorts of great mathematicians and scientists predicting the future. And perhaps one day they might work it out, but I doubt it. If you look at history, it's a rubble of these people who are predicting the future. and as well claiming eternal life, that they're going to live forever. And they've yet to do it. So hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well. Hope will not be that you're going to live forever, actually. And hope will not be that you're going to live happily ever after. But it's the certainty that no matter what happens, it will make sense. There will be meaning there. There will be meaning there. So thank you, Eileen, for inviting us in here. That was my mother, Nóirín, who gave that beautiful blessing and opening. And my brother, Mícheál, is here as well, too. And Nóirín was I was blessed to see Nóirín, my mother, return to a seminary, the One Spirit Seminary in London, to become an interfaith minister only a handful of years ago. And it was an extraordinary story how Nóirín, who was very associated with the Catholic Church in Ireland, she decided that the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland was no longer a place where she felt comfortable at that point in her life. And it was a time for her to move on over a threshold. Mm. And at the time in Ireland, this was in 2017, this was front page news that Nóirín was moving on from the Roman Catholic Church. This was still a big deal in Ireland. So she was a radical moving on to this new field, and she was very welcomed in the One Spirit community. So it was an extraordinary example of how within us all there is still hope, and that indeed we are always learning, and we are always that child who is seeking a greater horizon, who knows. We have our ear up against the door, up against the wall, and we know, or up against the womb even. And we know that there's another world outside there that we have no ability to even perceive of, you know. So it's extraordinary. And that image of womb is something that Nóirín touched on there, and that Eileen hit on with this theme of the child. And this time of year, this time of Advent, is all around the time of the womb. And one of the greatest hallmarks of the womb, as we all remember, of course, is that the womb is dark. It's dark, even though a certain amount of light can get through, but you're in a world of darkness. So how could you tell a baby in the womb the miracle of light and what they were going to see and the colors that they were going to perceive? And I just read recently that it takes 5 months before the child can even perceive colors outside of black and white. So this whole idea of there's a world ahead of us that we have no ability to even comprehend yet. And this is the time of year to meditate upon that. And again, the world is the symbol for us. Like Eileen, you were holding up the branches. The world is a symbol for us to discern. And the great wise ones have come before us, and they have spelt the story out for us in the most simple terms. And so what I want to do is just to very quickly, and our time is so short, our time is so short here. And I really hope that we can keep in touch in one way or another after this. But I really want to just very quickly go through a few little photographs. First of all, I want to share with you this place. This place is called Newgrange on the east of Ireland, on a bend on the River Boyne, north of Dublin city. And this site is a mound, an ancient burial mound that is over 5,000 years old, 1,000 years before over 5,000, 1,000 years before the pyramids in Giza, or Stonehenge in England. And so the people living in Ireland at the time constructed this vast, huge burial mound. And the fascinating thing is they were pointing to this time of year. Do you see how womb-like this structure is? And if you zoom down into the doorway here, I'm going to show you the little doorway, which is right here. And this is the entrance of the passage tomb at Newgrange. There's a box over here over the entranceway. First of all, there's this beautiful stone with all of these spirals. They loved spirals. This was about 3,000 years before the people we call the Celts even ever landed in Ireland. We have no idea what civilization or culture built this, but over it, they built this little box. And during these 3 days of solstice, during these 3 days where the sun does not move in the sky, it dips down into this darkest place. The light shines, the morning sunlight shines in through that box. And it shines in through that box just like that, and shines, the light crawls down this passage that goes right into the center of that great mound and fills up this corbelled burial chamber. And so for 3 days, if the sun shines in Ireland, which it doesn't do every year at all, Ireland has a very, if there's anyone out there from the Pacific Northwest, they'll know what I'm talking about. But when the sun does shine in, that's what you see, you know, an extraordinary miracle. So fast forwarding to our own Christian story very quickly, the wonderful story that we have from the Christian tradition of the 3 kings coming from the east, following the Star of Bethlehem. And there's a beautiful astrological allegory for this story. And I want to share with you that before I hand over to my brother, that on Orion's belt, now many of you probably know this, but it's always wonderful to be reminded that Orion's belt, you have these 3 beautiful stars in the sky. And in the winter sky, you see these stars so clearly. And especially when the leaves are off the deciduous trees in our northern climate, the 3 stars of the Orion's belt shine down to this extraordinarily psychedelic star called Sirius, which you'll see out in the night sky, and it's shining and flickering blue, red, yellow, white over and over again. And these 3 kings are making this line all the way down to Sirius. And if you follow the line down to the horizon, that is where the solstice sun will rise at this time of year. So it's an extraordinary thing. And it's saying that the darkest place, the 3 kings and the Star of Sirius, make a line to the darkest place on the earth. The earth is the goddess. The earth is our great womb that we sprang up from, the mud, the dark soil of our great Mother Earth. And these 3 kings and the Star of Bethlehem shine right down to the darkest point of that womb and say, this is the point where the sun will rise. So despite whatever hopelessness or despair I may be feeling at this time, this story gives me great hope and great joy that regardless of how things turn out, they have a great meaning for me. So thank you all. Handing over to Mícheál over there in Ireland.
Hello, everybody from Midnight Ireland. Things are moving fast here. Things are moving fast. The stars are racing across the skies, but I am here speaking to the listening ear and feel absolutely great about it. Thank you for opening your presence to me here in Ireland. And Owen, good to see you, brother, and always good to share a Zoom screen at the very least with our mother, Nóirín, who lives around 20 minutes away from my home here. I loved the theme of the inner child. My inner child has gotten me to some amazing places and gotten me into some trouble as well, let me tell you. To trust the inner child. Trust is a word that came up. Do we trust our inner child? We may respect it, we may dote upon it, but do we trust the inner child? Indeed, do we trust any child? Parents, aunts, uncles out there will know that beautiful moment when you begin to trust a child, or the fleeting moments throughout the day when we bestow trust upon a child. And one of the blessings I wish for you this season is that we trust what our inner child is trying to do and is calling us to do. I'm reminded by this theme and dug up the old quote today by Oscar Wilde: "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. That quote came to mind when I contemplated my inner child. And of course, I'd like to also open our collective thoughts as we reflect on our inner child. I'd like to open our thoughts to our parents and our ancestors for how can we contemplate our inner children without contemplating all of the work that has gotten us to this point. I was reminded as well of a great anonymous teaching. At least my research has not found the author for this beautiful bit of wisdom, but I'm pretty sure it's from the Eastern philosophies, the Eastern spiritual traditions. And it goes something like, we enter this world crying while all around us are laughing, and we should leave this world laughing while everyone around us is crying. So we enter this world crying while all around us are laughing. We should leave this world laughing while all around us are crying. If anyone recognizes that or knows anything more than my research has come up with, please send us a message. I'm going to share a poem with you, a poem of my own, and then I'm going to sing 3 little vignettes of jazz songs stuck together that are linked together by the theme of trust and love. And the first poem is called Interfaith, and I'm a poet and a singer, and I found that writing poetry the last several years has allowed me to be present to my own interfaith spirituality, my own spiritual self. Musicality and singing has always brought me into prayerful spaces, but poetry has allowed me to really sit with and reflect upon the prayerfulness that I am capable of. So this poem is about me attending my mother's ordination as an interfaith minister in London, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I suppose now, Owen. And it was an amazing experience coming from the slightly orthodox Catholic traditions, you know. It was a very colourful and large ordination, and a lot of people were wearing their casual clothes, formal clothes, or traditional dress. So to me, it looked more like a beautiful episode of kind of Star Trek than an ordination of some kind, you know. But it was a beautiful, colourful, prayerful event, and this poem came very soon after, and I dedicate it to all of this community, and it's great to meet you all. And this is called Interfaith. Divinizing the space amid faith. Ordinance with tears and lips quivering. That the minister is in each one of us was unknown to me. Ritual space, where time slows to an ecstatic drip, and the breath of God is as close as the slumbering lover you love to listen to. But who is braver, this new minister or we who dare to seek their original blessing, and to think they do this for love and love's time has come. Divinizing the space amid faith. That the minister is in each one of us was unknown to me. Divinizing the space amid faith, ordinance with tears and lips quivering. That the minister is in each one of us was unknown to me. Ritual space where time slows to an ecstatic drip, and the breath of God is as close as the slumbering lover we love to listen to. But who is braver, this new minister or we who dare to seek their original blessing and to think they do this for love? We do this for love and love's time has come. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard to make love ever last. Whoa, 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 whoa. My heart should be well schooled, for I've been fooled in the past. You know I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. Let's get lost in each other's arms. Let's get lost. Let them send out alarms And though they think us rather rude, let's tell the world we're in that crazy mood. Let's get crossed off everybody's list. Whoa, whoa. Let's get lost in a romantic mist and celebrate the night we found each other. Whoa, whoa. Let's get lost. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's get. Close your eyes. Rest your head on my shoulders and sleep. Close your eyes. Beep, beep, beep. And now I will close mine. Close your eyes. Let's pretend that we're both counting sheep. Close your eyes. Oh, love, this is divine. The music play. Something dreamy for dancing while we're romancing. It's love's holiday, and love will be our guide. Close your eyes. When you open them, dear, I'll be near by your side.
You.
Thank
Lovely.
you. You are indeed a one-man band.
There's a few inner children in there, I think, banging around. So
Thank you both. I think we have time for a brief time anyway for some sharing if people would like to say what's on their hearts or
Yeah, that would be lovely to hear from someone. Yeah, please feel free.
just raise your virtual hand and you can speak. Yeah. Hi. Cynthia?
Oh,
Did-
thank you so much for this evening. It's lovely.
Thank you, Cynthia.
The singing in, I guess, Gaelic it's called. It
Mhm.
just touches my heart.
Hmm.
Being of Irish descent, my grandmother came over from Ireland, and my grandfather was of Irish descent, and I was ordained the new seminary the year before Diane Burke started One Spirit.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
So it's been 20 years.
Wow, wonderful.
And it's just lovely. And then for you to have your mother be ordained, it's just touching. So thank you for this evening.
Yeah, thank you. Glad you could join us.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Anybody else?
Reverend Susie.
I don't.
Hang on. Oh, I can, yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing so much light and brightness and happiness into the room tonight. It was so beautiful. All of the pieces and how they intertwined, entertained, and taught. And the beautiful poems and the singing, and a mom and her sons. Thanks again.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks,
Aaron.
Susie.
Aaron O'Rourke.
Mrs. O'Rourke.
Oh, yes. Hello, Owen and Moley. It's Erin. Merry Christmas. I just am so blessed to be here with you two tonight, and Nóirín. And you know, I adore you and have been with you before. It has been such a, to hear your singing, to be with your hearts, to know how incredibly deeply and rich your interfaithness is for me was such a blessing tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron.
Devon.
Hi, hopefully you can see me. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Devon.
Thank you both so much, and to your mom as well, who I know is recorded, but really, really lovely. I actually had heard about all of you through a friend, and so was really excited to see that you were doing this this week. So thank you for being here. I want to specifically say that I really enjoyed seeing the mound, the burial mound that you shared. And also, I don't think that I knew about Riain and Sirius coming together, and that's just, it's I'm in seminary right now. I'm in my second year of seminary with One Spirit, and these moments when the stories of religions that as we know them start to make more sense from a much farther back perspective and from a different perspective is always both mind-blowing and deeply spiritually aligning for me. And so I just really appreciate that the aligning. And also I've been seeing Sirius and could not figure out what it was. I was like, what is that star? Why is it so sparkly and colorful? Like, is that a UFO? Like, what is happening? So I really appreciate that now I know what that is, and it just makes that much more sense and warms my heart. So thank you both so much for being here. And I would really like to know how to stay in touch with you. And so if there's like a website that you could share or something. Yeah. I know Eileen shared her email address, but I'm not sure if the other thing was actually an email or something. I would just love to stay in touch and hear more about your work and what you're both doing and your mom's doing. So
thanks,
that would be great. Thank you so much.
Devin, I just put it in the chat.
I'm going to share a link to a course that we recorded. And if you use this coupon code, it's free. So hang on a second. Let me just get this coupon code here.
Yeah, we started sharing the screen with Nóirín when this whole season, this whole fallow season began over a year ago, and we've put together loads of these online courses and presentations, and it's been amazing just to share and inherit so directly so much of Nóirin's spoken wisdom, because we've been learning her songs since for 15 years now, and so we did come to all that ancient Irish music as lads in our early and mid-20s. So
and
we're of the age of reason before we were indoctrinated into Celtic ancient music.
That course there, that's a course on Samhain, which is this Celtic season, this time of year. So we cover a lot of the old Celtic mythology around entering into darkness and finding solace there through community. So if anyone there would like to, you can like purchase and put in that coupon code, and you get 100% discount. So
thanks, Owen. Is there anyone else who'd like to share before we begin to close? No more comments, thoughts? Something on your heart? I guess not.
We got some nice texts there from Robert and Andrea. So thank you. And David, thank you.
Star, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I just want to say thank you and a deep bow of appreciation. My husband, who's also here, and I had the great pleasure of being with your mom at Glenstal Abbey. Which is a place we love to visit. And we hope they're doing well in these difficult times. And we hope soon to be able to, usually we would spend part of our year in Ireland, a month or two, and we hope to be able to return, but it's been a little challenging. So thanks for bringing a bit of the wisdom of the tradition to us all tonight. And I wish you well. The work you do is so terribly important, and I hope that all good things come to you as you walk your paths.
Thank you, Star.
Thank you, Star. That's beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, please keep in touch. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And Diane, I see a hand and a sunset or a sunrise.
Oh, yes, you do. Diane?
There I go. Apologies, I can't have my video on, but I finally figured out how to unmute myself on my iPad. And I just wanted to offer such deep, heartfelt gratitude from One Spirit New York. And it sends so much love to Nóirín and One Spirit Interfaith in the UK in Ireland and Scotland. They are so dear to my heart. I've been over there many, many times for their retreats and ordination, and am so, so delighted to welcome you to the One Spirit community on this side of the pond.
Thank you, Diane.
Nóirín will be watching this first thing in the morning, Diane, or as soon as it's up online. Yeah, so she'll really appreciate that, and we'll probably share it with a few other of the ministers there in Ireland. Thank you so much. Yeah, look forward to meeting in person, maybe even someday down the road. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope so. Yes.
that would be wonderful. That would really be wonderful. Well, I think unless there's somebody who has a burning desire to share, Diane's hand is still up. Does that mean you still want to share, Diane?
No, I just can't figure out how to get rid of it.
Well, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Owen and Moley especially for joining us and agreeing to this experiment. It's been really great. And such a treat for me. This time of year to me is so special and so sacred and so beautiful. So to share it with the three Súilleabháins and One Spirit is just like really beyond special to me. So thank you very much. It's personally and spiritually really rich. So I appreciate it a lot.
I mean, we wouldn't be here only for you. So thanks for inviting us in. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. More to come. So I just want to say Merry Christmas, blessed Christmas. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to your inner kids. And I have an important lesson, by the way. I'm going to wait 1 second. I one time went and had an ice cream cone and reported to a therapist that I'd been very kind to my inner child, and she jumped all over me. She said, "That is not how you take care of a child." Because, she meant that really taking care of a child is so much more profound than stuffing a kid with ice cream. So I guess I'm just pleading for you to be seriously kind to yourselves and not just superficially kind with a scoop of ice cream. So many blessings to you all. Happy New Year. See you then.
Lovely.
Bye, everybody. Much love.